Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Generation Millennium. I'm your visually impaired host, Jeffro Madness, and today we are looking at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Probably one of my first little dives into this, mostly because, let's just say the topic is going to be about Tera raids, and if you've been actively participating in online raiding and whatnot, you are probably getting a little less annoyed / frustrated / irritated at people just willy-nilly just hopping to Tera raids thinking that they're hot stuff and thinking they can just toss in their level 100 extra Maridon or Koraidon they caught in Area 0 and they think they can just sweep through everything. Or maybe they're also a bunch of morons who decide to also throw in the Ruination Pokemon thinking that because they're legendaries they can also just take down raids. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you're a part of my little friend group, then you obviously know how to raid and whatnot, but if you're just recently got the game, there are many, and I mean many, misconceptions going on, so let's clear those up. So to clear things up, Tera raids come into a total of 7 different categories of star levels. Basically, as long as you're bringing Pokemon that are super effective against a Pokemon's Tera typing for the 1, 2, and 3 star raids, you're pretty much good to go, considering those raids are easy peasy. You can just send in, like, say, a Pokemon like Iron Hands here, and as long as they have a super effective move, like, as you can see here on screen, it's got Drain Punch, Thunder Punch, yeah, there's those two. Well, anyway, this covers a lot of weaknesses anyway, but as long as you have something that can hit hard and fast, then you're pretty much good to go. However, typing is not all that it's cracked up to be, because that's not the only thing you have to rely on. Another point of contention are the EVs, because Tera raids are quite different from your regular Pokemon battles, and that's another misconception that many players have, is that thinking they can just chuck in the Pokemon they have on their VGC teams and then they think they're just good to go. Let's see, for example, where did I put that stuff? Or not even just VGC, but just the Pokemon they're using this in their story teams. But essentially those kinds of Pokemon would essentially just be Pokemon who are just leveled up to level 100, maybe have a bunch of attacking moves, like say Garchomp, for example, would probably be a Pokemon that you would put in like things like Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Iron Head, Poison Jab, moves like that. For competitive battling, that could be okay, not to mention getting Pokemon through the story, also alright. For Tera raids, not so much. Yes, you can have a bunch of offensive moves at your disposal, but if you're going into these raids solo, you're going to need more than that, especially once you get to the higher star raids. Like, once you get to 4-star raids, I think that's maybe the equivalent of difficulty of what the 5-star raids were in Sword and Shield. I mean, well, Sword and Shield is a bad comparison. Those raids were like boringly easy. Like, you can just chuck in a Zacian or return to hit those things with the Behemoth Blade, Dynamax Cannon, and as long as it's super effective or even neutral damage, you could sweep those solo easily. The NPCs were trash. But in these Tera raids, it's not that easy. I mean, unlike in Sword and Shield, in which you only got 4 lives for raids, in Tera raids, there's a set of timer. The good news is, if you're going in solo and your NPC support Pokemon get knocked out, it doesn't affect the game timer at all. But in Scarlet and Violet, if you come in with any player, yourself included, and other live players, they get knocked out, it affects the game timer. I think depending on how, I forget how much the timer is affected, but essentially you want to just avoid getting knocked out as much as possible. Tera raids is all about survivability and dealing damage. And unfortunately, for Pokemon, if you're just attacking willy-nilly, you're not going to be getting anywhere, especially once you get to that 5-star and above raid, because starting at 4-star, I believe that's when the shield comes in. And in order to deal as much damage as possible, you need to hit those shields with super effective Tera attacks. Not just regular attacks, but Tera attacks. They deal not only more damage, but also more super effective damage, so that's important. But like I was saying earlier, you cannot just throw in Pokemon whose types are super effective against Pokemon's Tera typing, because that's just an early death wish. So let's see, I don't know if I have a Pokemon here would be a good example. Let me look around for a bit. I should have prepared this sooner, but this on my main file and Pokemon is all over the place. Oh yeah, Sudowoodo here, whose original typing is rock, but his Tera type is grass, just like the second gym leader, Gracias, whatever his name was. So for example, you go up against this guy and you're thinking, oh hey, it's a grass Tera type Pokemon. Okay, I'll just chuck in that fire type, maybe an ice type, bug, flying. I mean, technically speaking, you're not wrong per se, but you have to remember that this Pokemon's original typing is rock and he still has access to rock type moves. Therefore, you throwing any of those Pokemon of those respective typings, you're gonna get destroyed by his original type moves because, well, yes, you're doing super effective damage to his Tera typing, your Pokemon are also weak to his original type, so yeah, you have to be careful of that. Another example would be like Garchomp. Like, that's probably one of the deadliest 6-star rays you can come across, a Garchomp with a 6-star Fairy Tera, for example. He's weak to Poison and Steel, but then his original typing is also Ground, so you're most likely going to be destroyed by Earthquake, so that's why you have to be careful about the Tera typing, and that's a mistake a lot of people I see make online, is that they look at the Pokemon's Tera typing, or they ignore that and they only look at Pokemon's original typing, and they just bring Pokemon with moves or types who are super effective against just one or the other. No. For Tera raids, you need to look at both types, regular and Tera, and plan accordingly and bring your Pokemon that can counter them. And like I also mentioned, also make sure that your Pokemon can Terastallize and make sure that said Tera type is super effective against that said Tera type so you can deal as much damage to their shields as possible. However, another big misconception for Tera raids is like, did I mention earlier? Yeah, if I didn't, I'll say it now, but you just can't go in and just chuck in a Pokemon like, say, like I mentioned Garchomp earlier with maybe like Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Iron Head, Rock Slide, Poison Jab, whatever. No. For Tera raid, you cannot simply just go in all attacking. Because once those shields go up, your damage output will be very greatly decreased, therefore raids will take a lot longer, and the odds of you getting KO'd by the Pokemon you're battling is much higher. So things become a lot more difficult. So then, before said shields go up, how do you deal with that? Because once the shield goes up, your damage output can be greatly reduced, so the biggest strategy for Tera raids is to take them out before those shields come up. But then the next question becomes is how do you get enough damage going to deal enough damage to take them out before said shields come up? Well, this is where moves that you normally would not see on Pokemon come into play because, I mean, you might see them on occasion during a casual playthrough, or maybe rarely in VGC, but for Tera raids, these are where these moves really come into play. Like a Zumaro here has the move Belly Drum. At the cost of half its HP, it will increase its attack to the maximum of +6, because when it comes to stats in battles, whether it be competitive or Tera, doesn't matter, stats always get an increase of either +6 or -6. And to deal as much damage as possible to a raid Pokemon, you want to ensure that your damage output is near the max as possible, and that their stats, the opponents, are as lowered down as possible, as much as you can get. So for example, you have like a Belly Drum there for a Zumaro, that's increasing its attack stat. Or if you're going for a special defense and whatnot, to move Fake Tears there, and let's see, wait, there we go. So like Fake Tears example, lower special defense by 2 stages, or Calm Mind here can boost your Pokemon's attack, special attack, and special defense by 1 stage each. Moves like these are very important for Tera raids because this increases your damage output immensely, and therefore will help guarantee that you can take out Pokemon as fast as possible, no matter what level of raid they are. Like this Flutter Mane here that you see, I used this one back in the days of the 7-star Charizard, and then I have a Cerulege here. I believe this is going up against that 7-star Cinderace, so this one was just a major supporter for Fluck to decrease the amount of damage we took from the physical attacks that comes right there. Will-O-Wisp worked to burn it and lower its attack stat even further, helping hand for anyone that was doing a lot of damage. Like they were said, they have probably like their sword dances and screeches. And last but not least, Clear Smog is a move that can also come in handy because sometimes the right Pokemon might do something annoying, like maybe like use double team or bulk up, or you just want to get rid of whatever stats changes they have. Clear Smog will get rid of any of those changes, so that's also important to keep an eye on. Let's see, Quillfish here. Acupressure can also come in handy. Just to boost stats at random, especially if you want to go like a stored power strategy on a Pokemon like say Slowbro. And Acid Spray is another move that can come in handy. Oops, wrong button. Because that, unlike other moves like say Screech or Fake Tears, those are just status moves that just deal them. However, if you recall maybe a while back the 7-star Pikachu raid, that one was annoying because it set the shield at the very beginning of the battle. So this is where some moves like Acid Spray here that deal a little bit of damage, and as you can see the base power down there is only 40, so it's not that strong. However, as a secondary effect, that always guarantees that the Pokemon's special defense will be lowered by 2 stages, or sharply as the move says down there. So if you ever come across a shield situation, then having moves like this is very important, because otherwise moves like Screech or Metal Sound or Fake Tears, they cannot go through shields, so don't even try. Also moves like Taunt and whatnot also cannot work when the shield's up, but if the shield is not been put up yet, then you can feel free to use them. But if the shield has gone up, then you want to also resort to just moves with secondary effects like Acid Spray, Lumina Crash, or just anything that has a guaranteed secondary effect here, like also like Mud Slap on this gap on here, lowers the accuracy, that can also help in Tera raids to ensure that the right Pokemon just can't kill you. And of course, this also has Clear Smog in case they need to change the stats. Let's see, here's another Acid Spray Pokemon in the form of Clodsire, and also, and make sure Pokemon have also abilities that can also benefit you. Like say, Water Absorb prevents this this Clodsire cannot be taken out by water type moves. And also, you got your own, I'm pretty sure had Stun Drain. Yep. So be sure that your abilities also match up. But that's about it for moves, because you need for supporters and whatnot. And you can probably tell by now a lot of my Pokemon are supporters. I don't have much in the way of offense, but I don't like playing supporter role. It's a lot easier to handle those situations. But if you want to go a bit more offense, you can also help out by using Pokemon Fate as Lucario, Screech to lower your defense, and then Sword Dance to boost your attack, and then just go full force offense, whatever other moves you want to utilize. But as you can see, the Lucario here has both physical and special stats you can go for. Nasty Plot boost special attack, Metal Sound learn special defense, even Life Dew to heal your party Pokemon so you don't have to waste things on Cheers. Oh yes, Cheers! That's also something I haven't covered yet. Cheers, unlike a Sword and Shield, are actually useful in Tera raids because Cheers come in 3 different forms, I guess you can call it. There's the Attack Cheer, which boosts your Pokemon's offensive capabilities for the raid, and the raid Pokemon cannot nullify those as far as I'm aware. But Cheers do not stack, so you only need to have one person do one kind of cheer. So there's one that boosts your Pokemon's offensive capabilities, one that raises their defensive capabilities, and then the third cheer is a heal cheer, which, if you don't have a healer, is your only other way to heal. However, heal cheers are a bit, while they are limited, they are a bit more powerful because they also not only heal Pokemon, although the heal ratio is a bit random, so they're not quite as reliable, but they also get rid of any status effects that may have been inflicted on your team, like sleep, paralysis, freeze, confusion, attraction. All that gets removed by the heal cheer. And every single player gets access to a total of 3 cheers per raid, so you can plan things out accordingly to just make sure that your team is ready for whatever is coming your way. If things go south, then you always have the cheers at your disposal. Just remember, each player only gets access to 3 cheers each. And let's see, I covered moves. Oh yes, last but not least, there are also EVs and IVs available. So if you're going to the summit screen, like I'm here, and then you press the L button on your controller, you can take a Pokemon. You can take a look at your Pokemon's effort values, or EVs as they're known for short. And as you can see here, a majority of my Pokemon here are meant for Tera raids, and if you look at their respective charts, a majority of these Pokemon have their HP EVs maxed out because, as I mentioned earlier, survivability in these raids is top priority. So you want to make sure your Pokemon can survive these Tera raids. So if you're going for like a supporter Pokemon, you want to max out their HP and whatever stat that the Pokemon is known for using offensively, and you want to put your EVs into that respective stat to counteract that. So like say the 7-star Charizard that came out long ago, or like December or so last year, then you want to put that Flutter Mane into HP and special defense. Or if your Pokemon is like more defensive, you can put it into defense stat. Or if you just want the Pokemon in general just to be a complete powerhouse, then HP and attack is pretty much all you need, because, I mean, just look at Iron Hands' physical attacks right there. 416? That's a Paradoxmon for you. So if you want for a Pokemon like, say, this is Azumarill over here. Oh, same thing anyway. Yeah, because it's meant to be a huge powerhouse. Belly Drum to max out the attack stat. And I believe these have Shell Bell on it. Yep, Shell Bell, when it deals a large amount of damage, it recovers HP. In regular battles, that would not be all that impressive. However, raid Pokemon have a large amount of HP on them, because the higher the raid, the more HP they have. I think like by the time you get to 5 and 6 stars, they have like what, 30 times the normal HP that they normally would, which is a lot. So the Shell Bell is a very nice way to recover HP, and if you do things properly, like say, this Azumarill is probably going to be the frontline attacker, so what you're going to do is maybe have a support Pokemon, a second player, maybe bring in like a Umbreon to set up Reflect to increase your defense so you don't take as much damage. Or maybe have someone just do a heal cheer as after the Belly Drum goes up to heal you, just to ensure you don't get killed. And then after that, Azumarill with huge power, doubles the attack stat. Belly Drum has maxed out the attack to +6. And then you're going to use either Player or Liquidation to deal a ton of damage. And if someone else set up a bunch of Screeches after that, there's a pretty good chance that Pokemon's going to be just one-hit KO'd. Like one of my favorite examples was a 6-star Vaporeon raid, maybe I think it's like Dark Tera. What we had on the field was a Gardevoir, Umbreon, Berserker, and Iron Hand. What the Gardevoir did turn 1 was set up a light screen, so we took less damage from special attacks. Both Umbreon and Berserker did Screech to lower Vaporeon's defenses by 4. Iron Hand's Belly Drum turn 1 to max out the attack stat. Then on turn 2, Gardevoir did, their player set up an attack cheer to increase Iron Hand's damage output further. Berserker got a 3rd Screech off, and then Umbreon was Helping Hand on Iron Hands to increase its attack power even further, and then Iron Hands did that close combat on that Dark Tera Vaporeon. Boom! Instant one-hit KO, because that, I mean, +6 on Iron Hand's attack, -6 on defense for the Umbreon, combined with a Helping Hand and attack cheer. That might have been overkill, but with all that set up, that was pretty much a 30-second raid. Just to do all the moves. I mean, if you include like loading times and all that stuff, and then resetting that said raid to do it again to get more like ability patches or a Mystica or whatnot, I mean, that could maybe take like a minute and a half to get all that reset up. But just taking down the raid itself, that's literally like 30 seconds. I think I clipped that at one point or another, but that's just an example of how you can easily take down the 6-star raids. However, I should warn you that you've probably seen this on my Pokemon here, but these Pokemon are all level 100, because by the time you get to the 5-star raids, those Pokemon I think are like level 75. So you cannot just simply bring in deadweight Pokemon. You cannot just jump into a raid and just ask people, hey, can you carry me through these raids? I just want to get these candy or just catch this Pokemon. No. You need to pull your weight in these Tera raids. You cannot just sit there and be a liability and just hope you'll be carried. You need to help out. I mean, if it's a 4-star raid and below, yes, there's a chance you can be carried, but once you get to the 5-star raids and above, just sitting there and hoping that people will carry you through them, it's not as a viable strategy. You need to just be able to help out. Which may sound a bit mean to me, but that's just the truth of the matter. Just you need to be able to help out as much as you possibly can. And as I probably already stated, you need to make sure everything on your Pokemon are good to go. Like for example, if you're in the post game, you should have, like you've already seen the end credits, you should already have talked to any Pokemon Center and you've received the judge function here. Like you can see on this Pokemon, this Gardevoir here, I've hyper trained it, meaning I have bottle caps put into this Gardevoir to ensure that its stats get maxed out. I don't know why I put stats into attack there. But everything else is essentially hyper trained. So you just want to make sure all those are maxed out. So you ensure that you can, your defenses and HP stats are just the max that they can be, or if you're going offense, you want to make sure the offensive stats are also maxed out. Like Iron Hands here, he's hyper trained. Well, in pretty much everything. It's a wild Pokemon. The odds of Pokemon having stats that, oh wow, no good in special attack. Just noticed that one. That's also that can come in handy. But everything else is hyper trained to the maximum because you want to make sure you're dealing as much damage or taking the least amount of damage as possible. And then when you EV train them, that can also come in handy. And if you're confused about EV training and whatnot, that can also be remedied if you just have enough resources. Mainly money. So if you're in a post game using the Ace tournament to grind out money with the Amulet coin, is essentially the way to go. And as I said, make sure you're Pokemon level 100, so make sure you have candies. And if you're running low on candy, then my best recommendation is to maybe just join the 3-star, 4-star raids as much as possible, so you can grind up on, at the very least, a bunch of medium and large candies. Just so you have resources to get Pokemon as high level as possible, or if that doesn't help, then maybe just go into the wild, you set up a normal counter sandwich, go near where the Fairy Team Starbase is, I think it's in the North Province Area 3 area, and just take down as many chances as you possibly can to grind up on experience that way. Chances always give a lot of experience points. And sometimes this was not much of a requirement, but you can use PP ups to increase your Pokemon's power points. Just in case, because some Pokemon raids, if you take too long, you run out of power points, you can't do anything, so that can be a bad time. So making sure you have as many moves available as possible to take down raids is recommended. As for EVs though, you'll probably found these around the world map. These feather items increase the Pokemon's effort values by 1 stage each time you use them. And each time you complete raids, you typically get a random number of feathers, so considering the majority of my feathers I have here, I've gotten from raids. So just by counting the number of feathers here, you can probably just count how many raids I've completed. And that's not even all of them, because I've actually spent a couple of these feathers already. Like, I'm pretty sure I spent... which one? Oh no, that's a book capsule. Oops. But bottom line is, you do a lot of raids, you get a lot of these feathers, take these and help you with EV training. However, the real EV training helpers are the vitamins here. HP up raises HP, protein raises attack, iron raises defense, Carbos raises speed, calcium raises special attack, zinc increases special defense. Each vitamin, if you buy them at, I believe it's the Chansey stores, they sell for 10,000 yen each, which is pretty expensive. But if you grind up money from the Ace Tournament long enough, then you can essentially grab enough money to just buy these vitamins outright. Or if you decide to just grind out the 7-star raids, they typically drop these vitamins as well, so you can grind those up to get these vitamins. And using these vitamins to boost up your EVs is also very important. Although this is also the expensive but in a lazy way. But if you're low vision like me, then EV training out in the wild is very slow, time consuming, and just hard to do if you can't see the Pokemon in general, so that's why you rely on vitamins exclusively these days. I believe I highlighted earlier, but I also mentioned Pokemon's abilities. Make sure that you use Capsule to switch Pokemon's abilities. If you have them, these sell for like 100k each in stores. Also the Chansey store. But also ability patches can switch Pokemon's hidden abilities around. These are harder to get. I think there's a chance you can drop them from 5 and 6 stars. Definitely 6 stars. I'm not sure about 5. but having access to Pokemon's hidden abilities is also important. But also at the Chansey store, along with ability pouches and vitamins, you can also purchase, I believe, bottle caps there, and if I'm wrong, then it's Delibird present stores. But making sure you have a nice supply of bottle caps at the ready, so you can help Hyper Train your Pokemon. I believe the Hyper Train guy is at the NPC in Mountain Nevada, where the Ghost Gym is, in the northern section of the map. And your Pokemon needs to be at least level 50 before they can be Hyper Trained, so keep that in mind. So my recommendation is that if you want to do Tera and you don't have enough experience candy at the moment, so you just maybe have a Pokemon like say you took through this main story, like say maybe a Talonflame here. Like I think his EVs are all over the place. Oh, maybe not. He looks like I trained him mostly in physical attack, but the rest of his stats are definitely random. But this is a Pokemon I didn't really meant to use for raids. He's just there to help me hatch eggs, like because there's a flame body ability there. And if you're looking for egg moves, having the Mirror Herb item there also helps. But if you ever just want to, just take down like the 3-star, 4-star raids, to grind up your candy winning those raids, then you can just bring in a high-level Pokemon and at the very least try to get your EVs as high as possible. And if you ever want to reset your EVs, then you can also use these berries to reduce them. Let me see if I can find where they are in the bag. Oh, there you are. It's like the Palmeg berry. This reduces EVs, HP EVs by 10. Chelsea, I believe, reduces attack by 10. You can always see it on the description there if you have them, but these berries also get drop fairy rates, but that's kind of slow. However, if you go to the auction house over in that one port town where you had to do the gym challenge for the water gym guy, one of them will randomly give you a selection every day, and the ones you'll want to be looking for, he can tell you either the feather items that increase EVs by 1, or he can tell you these berries which decrease EVs by 10. So if you ever just want to reset Pokemon's EVs, just make sure you have a bunch of these berries on hand. As you can see here, I've gotten a ton of these berries, either by buying them or earning different rates. So if I ever need to reset a Pokemon, like say I want to go back into my boxes here, and then I believe this Iron Hands was EV trained in attack and HP. If I ever want to change that, like say take away EVs and attack and put them in like defense or something, I just need 26 berries and then 26 vitamins to change all that. So make sure you have those places, or I'll tongue tied again. Making sure those resources are available and on hand are also very important. And I believe I've covered everything I could think about for Tera raids. If I missed anything, then you can feel free to fillet me in the comments down below. Please, any and all criticism will be much appreciated, other than the fact I need to get better software for recording and things like that. But having Pokemon like this Spathra ready to go is also important, because like I just used this Spathra recently against like this 7-star Chestnut, so it's trained in HP and defense, where its main way of helping out was using Lumina Crash to lower that Pokemon's special defense stat, because we had a team with like an Appleton, which would also deal a ton of damage with its stuff. Reflected raise our defenses, Feather Dance to lower that Chestnut's physical attack stat, and then Helping Hand to make that Appleton even stronger when it did go in for the attack. Yes, this is just another one of many setups you can have. Although, I guess a final note I should say is that also, like I have here, this is not exactly a good selection of Pokemon, but at least I have a selection, and making sure you have lots of Pokemon at the ready to use for any kind of Tera raid situation you may come across is very important. Like, I need to increase my own selection of Pokemon, but you all should also have lots of Pokemon at your disposal. Like, whether it be through breeding or catching the wild, it doesn't matter. Just go out there and just get your Pokemon ready for action as soon as you can, and you'll be a much better, well, you'll be a lot more help and not a liability when doing Tera raids with other people online. And trust me, they'll thank you for it. Because do not just charge into any raid and just start attacking automatically. That will not help anything, because all you'll be doing is forcing the Tera Pokemon to set up their shield early, and therefore your teammates will not be able to set up Screeches, Metal-Stones, or whatever the case may be, because once the shield goes up, the Tera Pokemon also tend to reset any stats and neutralize their ability on your side of the field, and they also like to neutralize any stat changes that they have on themselves. All at the same time, which can be very irritating. You have to sit through all those animations, which is a waste of time on the timer. So this is why most people, once the raid begins, they will not attack immediately. Instead, they will just set things up, do their Screeches, do their Acid Sprays, whatever case may be, to lower their stats, and then will do whatever it takes necessary to boost their own stats. And then they go in for the kill, and everything's set up properly, super effective damage. It typically will be a one-shot. And if not a one-shot, then maybe something close, because as long as you still have access to moves that can lower stats like the Lumina Crash or Acid Spray, whatever can just reduce the Pokemon's stats, as a secondary attack, if after the shield goes up, then your strategy is still salvageable, so yeah, just making sure you're as prepared as possible ahead of time will save everyone, yourself included, a lot of time, and you also will not have people cursing your name for being incompetent and just not helping out in general. Which may sound mean to me, but trust me, the more you are prepared and are willing to help out the way you're supposed to, the raid will go by much more smoothly and quickly. Like I said, like if you have that 6-star Dark Terror type Vaporeon raid, as I mentioned before with that setup, 30-second kill. And if you can always finish raids that quickly, then you can move on with your lives, do more raids with other people. It's just a more efficient time that way, so you can quickly take down raids, grind more candy, items, Terra Shards, Herba Mystica, sellable items like pearls, nuggets, and whatnot. It'll just be a lot quicker, more efficient, and you'll get on with your day and have more fun as well. And these tips pretty much apply to all raids, but for the most part, just 4, 5, 6, and 7 stars. And hopefully these tips help you out when it comes time to take down this Paradox's Pokemon coming out this weekend. And we are going to have a field day with those, especially if they can be shiny huntable. Well, I guess that's it for me for this little segment. I hope I said some things that helped you out, and if not, again, you can fillet me in the comments. But if you did learn something, or you found me helpful, you think I missed something, then again, feel free to fillet me down below. And until then, I guess I'll see you all next time. Take care! And I don't know why my music is doing all this stuff. I need... Anyways, here's the outro song. For real this time though, take care.